Are you looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this football and basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select two or more players, pick more or less on their projections for a wide variety of stats, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and injury insurance on your picks are what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the PrizePicks community of more than 7 million players who have already signed up. Right now, PrizePicks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/bluewire and use code BLUEWIRE. That's code BLUEWIRE at prizepicks.com/bluewire for a first deposit match of up to $100. PrizePicks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
Support for this podcast comes from Frito-Lay and the 2023 Snack Bracket Championship. The Frito-Lay Snack-It Challenge is underway, and fans are voting on their favorite snacks to crown champion. We're talking about prime-time matchups between the best 64 snacks in the land. Will Ruffles Ridges reign supreme? Can Doritos defend their dynasty? Or will Smart Food use their smarts for a surprise upset? Only you can decide. Get in on all the action for a chance to win up to $1,000 or a year's worth of snacks. Let your snacks be heard. Just go to fritolaysnacket.sbnation.com to vote and enter for a chance to win. No purchase necessary. Sweepstakes ends April 3rd, 2023. Void where prohibited. Year's worth of snacks awarded in the form of 52 coupons, each good for one bag of chips. See official rules at fritolaysnacket.sbnation.com.
Good evening, good morning, friends. Welcome to Mavs Moneyball After Dark. This is Kirk Henderson and Josh Boak coming to you on Friday night at about 11:45. The Dallas Mavericks just won their third straight road game and their third straight game without Luka Doncic, this time defeating the Sacramento Kings 122-114. Josh, how are you?
Doing pretty good. Also, their second straight wire-to-wire victory. I just saw Matt's PR tweet.
That's a great little factoid.
And apparently they entered yesterday's game with only one of those all season. So in these last two games, they've doubled up their wire-to-wire wins.
That's a good stat.
Of course, they do it without Luka.
Woo! So just for kind of full disclosure, these two teams play again tomorrow night. So there's like a limit, Josh and I are probably going to go much shorter than we normally go. I'm tired and kind of sick. And I also want to talk about this game. I think it'll be a fascinating contrast because, number one, Luka Doncic didn't play tonight. Everybody who's listening probably knows that unless you're just a person who's catching up after the fact. Number two, Luka thinks he's going to play on Saturday. So having a sample of back-to-back games against the same team, one time with Luka and one time without Luka, is actually really interesting. And I think we're going to have a lot to talk about and compare and contrast, just to kind of get the finer points out of the way. The Mavericks had another 40-point first quarter where they just looked electric, where everybody under the sun, the ball's moving, doing some really nice stuff. Kyrie didn't take his first shot till the 6-minute mark. That tells you how much the ball was popping. And it was a lot of fun to watch. They're just doing more. I've seen more Reggie Bullock cuts than I've seen in 2 seasons, and I don't know what to do with this. It was a truly weird game, but a fun one. And the final score doesn't really speak to how much the Mavericks dominated the first half. Jason Kidd, I almost feel like he was playing a little rope-a-dope. I almost wonder if we need to talk about that for the whole damn season, because the Mavericks, they just kicked the shit out of the Kings. And then there's all of a sudden really weird lineups in the third and fourth quarters, because the Mavericks outscored the Kings 45-25 in the first quarter. They were outscored every quarter the rest of the way. They just held on. And I don't know what that means. I don't really want to read into it. Let's talk about this one. Because obviously a win is a win is a win is a win. I'm really happy about this one, but I don't know how to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, especially against the Kings, a week ago, I think me and you probably had these two games penciled in as games the Mavericks were going to get their asses kicked.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because the Kings were leading the league in offense, and the Mavericks defense a week ago was, they were circling the drain, before this trade. So just the fact that they won this game is just a miracle in itself. And yeah, it's a kind of a tale of the first quarter versus the rest of the three. And again, it's more of the same, Kyrie moving around the ball, like you said, they're running play. Like, how many times have we gotten on this podcast and been like, they don't run plays, and now they're running plays and guys are moving and cutting. And someone told me that was like, well, Luka wasn't playing, so that's why it didn't happen. And I'm like, guy, they lost their first 7 games without Luka, and it's not like those games they were running around and running plays and cutting and moving without the ball in those games either. So like, it wasn't just a no Luka thing to these last couple of games. It's just it's
it's like I hate to kick Spencer in the shins.
Obviously, yeah, he has something to do with it.
What we're really seeing is that Spencer couldn't run an offense.
Yeah, or Jason Kidd coaches like Reggie Bullock plays, and he only starts coaching after January.
Jeez, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't even. But what was crazy, it's like he shut off his coaching brain because, like, Theo Pinson. Why is Theo Pinson playing 15 minutes? Ever. Theo Pinson is not a basketball player that should play 15 minutes.
Yeah, I think they're in a weird spot because the Kyrie trade, they're down to, even if Luka was healthy.
Lawson, I don't care.
Yeah, I know. Like, you're right.
Theo Pinson is not an NBA basketball player. I'm okay saying that. He's 28 or 27 years old. It's at least Lawson can give you something different. I don't want to get in the weeds about this. It was
the lineups were really weird.
Just repeatedly after the first half, like the Christian Wood of it all is so bizarre. Let's talk about the good things first, and then we can talk about the bad things. What were the good things that you liked? Other than Kyrie Irving being a fucking bucket from the free throw line. My God, does that feel good watching a guy actually hit free throws?
Yeah, that was nice. The whole Kyrie off ball stuff was nice again. He had 10 assists, 2 turnovers. Like he played a great game, and he even made some like pretty good hustle plays. He had 3 offensive rebounds. Yeah, he wants that contract, man. So we'll see what happens. But other than that, Reggie continuing to make shots, which is just freaking hilarious. And then, dude, Josh Green scored 17 points again.
He scored 10 points in the first quarter. Like that's some Josh. That's some.
He's now 5 straight games in double figures, and
he could have had a lot more. He had a lot of shots going in and out.
Yeah, but he was still 7 of 12 from the floor, and like. This is I don't want to get like too much up on a soapbox, but like seeing what Green did, and then Jaden Hardy had 12 points in 20 minutes, and he played really well. He only had 1 turnover, although he tried to like give the ball away like 4 or 5 times. He just managed to control himself. But hey, as long as it's not an actual turnover, you'll take it. He made 4 or 5 from 3, and so you've got your 2, your rookie and your third-year player combining for 25 points. Like this is why you trade. Like you trade and you improve your roster and you give talented guys opportunities. And like Kirk, think about how many times we've been on this podcast and people just get so mad at us when they're like, "You can't trade Dorian. You can't trade this guy. You can't trade this guy. You can't trade him."
Here's the thing.
Yes,
you can.
And it's like. Take away everything, regardless of the Kyrie Irving trade. If they traded for Zach LaVine, let's say if they traded for him instead, or they traded for any, not necessarily talking about Kyrie, just the trade in and of itself can be a good thing when you've got a team that has been so stagnant roster-wise, dating back all the way to when Dorian joined this team in 2016. Like Powell was on the team, and then Maxey joined the team a year later. 3 of the top minutes getters before Maxey got hurt were guys that have been on this roster since like 2017 or 2018. And it's like, that's cool if they're like near all-stars, but they're not. And they play, their role really well. But like, I'm sorry, Josh Green is a significantly better player than Dorian Finney-Smith right now. I don't know how long it's going to last. I don't know if this double-digit scoring streak can keep going. But like, when you take away a guy, and I understand he's like, the heart and soul locker room, but he's a guy who basically is like an 8 to 9 point, 6 rebound guy, and you replace his minutes with this really young, athletic, talented guy that's scoring 15 to 17 a night with assists and rebounds and making above the break threes, and it's like no one's untradeable, guys. And like I feel a little bit of vindication, and because me and you get the brunt end of it from all angles, and you know those same people that are praising this trade are the same exact people that were telling us to screw off, and we'd be like, hey, they should probably move off of Dorian or sell high, or they should try to mix this up, or they should upgrade this spot in the rotation. And you know, it just
well, and the season is just so long. The 82 game element of it, we saw what happened last year when it was, you know, today is a year ago when they traded for when they sent Kristaps Porzingis out for Spencer Dinwiddie, and that same team had the same kind of funk. Like they weren't terrible. They kind of started connecting on defense to a degree. And secretly, the Mavs have been not, like, at least in terms of defensive efficiency, the Mavericks have actually been pretty good for about 10 to 12 games now. I don't know what the shit to make of that, because like my eyes aren't really connecting with it. Like the Mavericks should have won this game by 20 something points, but there was just some weird comings and goings within the lineup. You know, we got a lot of McGee, who was pretty good, oddly enough. You know, the Wood minutes that we talked about a little. It was just nice to see this connect in a way that was fun. It makes me really think, and I'm formulating this theory. Somebody's going to take it from me unless you decide to just write on it, because I don't think I'm smart enough to write on it. But I think that the path forward for this Mavericks team is they need to play fast early and then use Luka as a battering ram late. I'm talking Derrick Henry fourth quarter shit, where right now what they do is they use Luka like that the whole game, and then he's just he's actually gotten better, but he was out of gas for a while. And I just think there's some value in saving Luka's legs a little bit if you can continue to push and score. And that means Luka, you know, giving up the reins a little bit and running with the team. And that's sort of what I hope to see when these guys play together. Like if Luka comes back tomorrow and they get a rebound and he walks the ball up the first time, people are going to riot, and they're going to have a reason.
Yeah.
You know, people, like, number one, we all just kind of like this. I think everyone understands that in the playoffs, the game's going to slow down and the Mavericks won't be able to push like this. But we're trying to climb in the West. Go win games by hook or by crook and figure this stuff out in the playoffs.
Right. And this is, I think I said this, I don't know if I said it online or something, but like, if they come out tomorrow and Luka's holding the ball and they score like 21 points in the first quarter, it's going to be a bloodbath online. Like I do not want to be online if that happens. So Luka has to, like, it starts tomorrow. If he does play, like they have to change what they've been doing. They cannot be 40% usage Luka the whole game. Like that's why you trade for a star. Like they cannot relegate Kyrie Irving to spotting up in the corners. Like you gotta make the most of the talent that you have. And it feels like these last two games, that's kind of been what they've been doing. So like, just hope they keep doing that. And again, I don't know how much of that falls on coaching challenging Luka. I don't know how much that falls on Luka accepting the coaching. Like it's probably a little bit of both. So that path presumably starts tomorrow, and we'll see.
All right, so the team has, so today was the 57th game of the year. So 82 minus 57 is 25. They have 25 regular season games left after tonight, maybe 24. I think it's 24. So ostensibly, by trying to get to the playoffs, the Mavericks are going to maybe have to stretch themselves a little bit thin in certain games, because Kid playing Pinson is a remark upon the roster. He wants to buy, like he doesn't, Hardaway played 36, Bullock 37, Kyrie 35, Josh Green 38. That's too much for right now. And he knows it. And so to get to the playoffs, they're probably going to be playing some funky lineups, because, they'll try to get somebody from the buyout market. But if you're, again, it sort of goes to speak to what happens in the trade market, where if you're doing what the Lakers did, where you replace like a third of your roster, then that actually says more about your process in needing to do that than the team. That's a team building problem. So the Mavericks, they traded one guy. I think we would have liked to see them move, they traded two guys. We would have liked to have seen them move some more players, but obviously that's not really, it's done now. Yeah. So now that I think they're just going to look to steal minutes in certain situations and get to the playoffs and sort of see where they go, because I hate to look ahead quite like this, But I was talking with Dalton today. It's like, well, if we can get away with Reggie Bullock and Josh Green playing tons of minutes, it can be just like last year in the playoffs.
Today's episode is brought to you by Cars.com. With over 2 million vehicles and 50,000 more added every day, Cars.com will match you with the perfect car for you, your budget, your life, your style. And if you're ready to say goodbye to your current car, Cars.com will get you an instant offer to cash it in. Just start by entering your license plate and get matched with a local dealer who will write you the check. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, just go to Cars.com. It's magical.
I guess. But that we saw
I don't
that
want
did to those guys.
Yeah,
So,
I don't want to. Do we want to microwave Reggie's knees in like in the playoffs?
Yeah. Right, and and again, not to be like, I'm not saying it's to be negative. It's just like I see the Mavericks potentially beating anyone they play. I really mean that right now. But it's also just really hard. Like, we're talking another 45 games total, factoring in the regular season. It's tough. It's tough. I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but that's when you win 3 games like this, you start to project forward. Because these are 3 big fucking wins.
Yeah, they are. And I think the thing is it's like, yeah, like the Theo Pinson minutes were like, what the hell? But it's also like, Frank Ntilikina did nothing with his opportunity. Like, so it's less, I think, just like weird. Like, I don't know how much of it is just like running a guy too much, or just like they don't have options. And like I know you said throw AJ Austin out there, sure, but that's not a guarantee that he's going to do better than Penson's 2 points in 15 minutes. Like maybe he does, but like there's not an obvious candidate on the bench that's not playing right now that you can be like, oh, they're holding this guy down. Like this guy should be playing. Like they're just, like you said, they're just trying to get through this. And when Luka gets back, everyone's been, Penson probably doesn't even play anymore. Or
sure.
Maybe he plays
Hardaway's
like
minutes.
5 or 10 minutes.
Hardaway's minutes are the ones for me that have to go way the fuck down. Again, second straight night, you're looking at the box score, you're like, Kirk, what are you talking about? He has 15, 5, 7 and 5. Like, why are you complaining about Tim?
He just can't. His shooting is just his 3-point shooting has come around a little bit, but like he cannot do anything inside the arc. His 2-point shooting is just.
He blew a layup,
yeah.
An open layup from the left side, and he's mad at himself. So it's not like I'm trying, but it's like the burden on Tim feels too high. Like Josh is finally taking shots. Like I think 12 shots in 38 minutes is a really good look for him. Now, granted, he scored 10 in the first quarter and 7 the rest of the way. So, but he was a really nice connecting piece. He's doing. It's like you can't take Josh Green. To me, you can't take Josh Green's minutes away. We're going to get yelled at for this, but I'm sorry, we're right. Green's defense tonight was this was the stuff that made Rick Carlisle not play him. His
defense was a horror show tonight.
he was super excited. He was overhelping. And overhelping is an easy thing to do when you've been like steal snatching for multiple games.
Yeah, for sure. And that's like it's not like he didn't have the effort. It wasn't like an effort thing. It was just like he just got a little ahead of himself, a little carried away with wanting to try to do everything. And it's like, hey, just maybe chill out a little bit. You're okay.
Right.
So we'll see. I think the only other thing we probably need to talk about with this game is we probably, haven't really talked about Christian Wood. I'm curious what you think. I know we talked in Slack and we had some messages in Slack. It was a really weird game for him because, again, he came out in that first quarter and I think he had like 13 points in 7 minutes in the first half.
Looked good.
And then he didn't score the rest of the way. He only finished with 12 minutes and only played 5 minutes in the second half.
Cameras caught him barking at a fan about his efficiency.
Wait, really?
Did you see that? Yeah. No, it happened because Matthew pointed it out and I went and rewound and was like, oh my God.
What was it? Were you doing a little lip reading or could you hear
No, you could hear it. He was like, he's like, look at my field goal percentage.
Oh my God.
And it was like, that's just such big fucking loser energy. And, he had these tweets yesterday where he's like, I've been playing efficient basketball. And it's like, okay, your agent and you are having these conversations. You are a fantastic basketball player. There is no questioning Wood's skills. What we're talking about is Wood's execution, his focus, and his priorities. Does he want to win basketball games? If he wants to win basketball games, the Mavericks and he will make a lot of money together. If he wants to worry about stats, that's why I think he might not be on this team next year.
And that's why he's bounced around the league his whole career. That's kind of been right. That's what
Yep.
everyone behind the scenes that's talked to people that know him on teams is that's his MO. So we'll see. And what was weird was about this game specifically was he started so well, and you're kind of like, are they Nerlens Noeling him? But honestly, after he had that really hot start, he had two awful back-to-back possessions where he held the ball in the post forever, and the Mavericks had two empty possessions back-to-back. Kid benched him, and those were two bad possessions. And now it's like, well, he kind of didn't really put him back in the game, and like, did that take him out of the game? But honestly, like, I didn't really feel like after that moment, like when Wood got his moments on the floor, like he took a couple bad threes in the third quarter, or maybe it was the beginning of the fourth quarter. Yeah, he had a really good stretch there, and then after that, he didn't look great, and the defense wasn't good. But also, it's like how much of that is because Kid
right? There's a chicken and egg thing. His
right.
Kid's screwing with him to a degree, and I get that. But I'm also just like, I don't care about his feelings. I want the team to win,
and they're winning, by the way.
Yeah, they are winning. So like, he has a really bad argument right now. It's like if they're losing games and Kid's messing with him, then that'll be the leading point. I promise.
Right. Wood played, I think, 8 games in January, and they went 3-5, and he averaged 21 and 10. And now they're 3-0 in his 3 games in February. He's averaging 6 and 7 or 6 and 8. And I'm not trying to like causation correlation. Like, I don't necessarily think him playing less is what's spurring it. But what is happening is maybe a bit of humbling, because earlier in the season they were losing games and kind of herking jerking him around the lineup, and I think he had a really good case for like, why are you what is going on? Like, why are we doing this when we can't even stay above 500 for more than a week? Well, now they're winning, and he's not necessarily had his 3 best games, and you're thinking, like, he's kind of now maybe running out of rope in terms of like,
which I hate because I think they need they need what he's offering. They over the long enough over a long enough timeline, you need how can you not need a 6'11" silky scorer? What are we doing?
Yeah, they just need to figure it out. I feel like, I mean, again, Kid has coached him like he didn't want him, and that's been kind of persistent
from the start. That's true,
and
that's
I just
really
don't.
True.
And I don't know what's going to change now that what about these last 3 games Kid's going to look at this and be like, yes, more minutes. Like they've won all the games. 2 of them were like really impressive wins where they won wire. And like you said, they need to figure it out. But, is Kid going to take the lesson from these games that like, oh, okay, we're going to win more games if he's a smaller minute player. And now that we've got Kyrie. So I don't know. That's going to be something they have to figure out, because I've cooled considerably on Wood. Like, if you would have asked me in December, I would have been like, man, if they mess this up and they lose him for nothing, I'm going to be really pissed. And now I'm kind of like, I don't really care one way or another, because coming off that win streak, they started playing real teams and they were just losing.
Yeah,
like, it's cool that you put up 27 and 17, but you lost by 11 points to the Thunder. Like, and I was just kind of like, I was kind of getting over it. Now, but like, because our good friend Istok kind of made the case for like, he plays a position that's like really hard to sustain winning basketball on a good team. Like a big man that can't isn't a great defender. Like, that's just a hard player to find minutes for on the floor without giving up a lot in some way. And for Wood, maybe it makes sense more coming like, if he can be like 6'11" Jason Terry, like that could be a path for him to be a contributor on a winning team. But as we've seen in these last couple games and coming off the bench, it just hasn't been there. So they need to figure it out, because we saw the second half, the offense really, really gunked up, and it'd be like, man, it'd be really cool in these minutes would come off the bench, give you a couple buckets, sustain things when Kyrie maybe cools off a little bit, or whatever, they go through a funky patch on offense. You would like Wood to come off the bench and be like, all right, here's some instant offense. And it just, these last 3 games hasn't happened, whether that's coaching or Wood itself. And I feel like they're going to have to figure it out.
Well, we're going to be back at this with this exact same team tomorrow night. Nobody got hurt. That's nice. So there's enough to look through. I think the Kings will come out with much more fight. I wonder, it's going to take at least 10 more games for teams to get a scouting read on the Mavericks. To date, anything you had on the Mavericks just has to be thrown up in the air and blown out the window. Like, they are just playing such different basketball.
Yeah, they look like a completely different team.
So
it's funny.
Oh, good times, noodle salad. All right. Well, Josh and I'll be back tomorrow night. I'm going to go do a quick live show. We'll see how long people want to talk. Pop by Mavs Moneyball. Got some good pieces. We're really looking forward to the All-Star break ourselves. I'll tell you that much. Thanks for hanging out with Josh and I, and we will talk with you soon.